In this tutorial, we will challenge ourselves to convey a semi-transparent look using watercolor brushes in Procreate. All you need is the right brushes, a built-in watercolor textured canvas, and follow my steps. You can download the color palette used, the sketch and reference image for this painting from the link in the description. First, you're gonna want to open the canvas for watercolor and insert the sketch of an orchid that I made earlier. And then after that, let's decrease the opacity of this layer to about 50%. And we will create a new layer for painting the flowers under this sketch layer. Let's use a hard edge brush and start applying a dark blue color along the outlines of the petals in certain areas of the flowers. And we want to leave space to add other colors later on. And we will change to a purple color and apply that to the petals in some other areas just to add more colors. And this is necessary to create a beautiful gradient when we mix colors later on. And let's repeat this step with other colors like blue, dark purple, light mint, and pink. And we only want to fill the contours to preserve the transparent look of watercolor. And if you take a closer look at the petals, you'll notice that some are partially hidden under other petals. And we want to use darker colors for those petals because this way it indicates that they're in the shadow. Okay, now the contours are done, it's time to create that transparent watercolor look. To do that, use the hard edge blender from my watercolor brush set and start pulling the paint and mixing it as you go. It's important that you pull color from the edges to the center. This is the only way to make the petals look translucent. The flowers are mostly done. Let's move on to work on the leaves. Create a new layer and rename it to leaves, and we will use that for the stem and leaves of the orchid. Let's first work on the stem. We're going to use the saturated green color and add that with a sharp edge brush in some areas of the stem, and we want to leave space for other colors like yellow and mint. And this is exactly what we did with the petals. We want to apply several colors and then create that gradient look when they're mixed. When all the colors are applied, let's just give them a blend with the blender brush. Okay, let's move to the leaves. Let's first apply a yellow outline to the top of the orchid leaf. And then we want to add a bright green and saturated mint color around the edge of the leaf. And let's also use a green color where the leaves kind of fold and overlap with each other to convey the shadows that they cast onto each other. And when you're done, just blur the leaves using a blender tool, following the same method used on the petals. Because I want this piece to look colorful and vibrant, I'm gonna add a few strokes of yellow and mint just to add some brightness. Alrighty, the base is done. Let's move on to details. We will create a new layer for the orchid's stamen and select the hard edge brush again, reducing the size to 25%. Add some yellow, orange, and red colors, and then again blend them using a blender just to create gradients again. Now let's work on adding some shadows to the petals, and for that we need a new layer. What we want to do in this step is basically to reinforce the darker parts. And which are the darkest parts? Where you previously applied blue and dark purple. So let's just redo the contour again with blue and dark purple. Wherever you did it before, add more strokes of blue and dark purple on the contours. Then blur them again by pulling paint from outside to the center. Okay, the petals are looking really nice. The contours are really dark and the center is really transparent, and whatever that's in between looks translucent. That's exactly the look we're going for. Now let's go back to the layer with the stamen, and we want to refine them a little bit. So we want to add some red, blue, and purple to the middle, outlining the shape of the stamen. And then let's use a blender brush, reduce it to about 15%, and just blur it and mix the colors a little bit. And finally, for the stamen, all we need to do is to add a dark blue color in some places around the stamen, just to show the shadows that they cast on the orchid petals. And then, as usual, we'll blend it a little bit. And now let's quickly add a little bit of detail and shadow to the stem and leaves. And for that, we want to create a new layer above the layer with stem and leaves. And we want to apply just a few strokes of dark green to the stem and leaves, just in places where, they bend and touch each other. As usual, let's blend it a little bit. There you have it, a vibrant orchid with translucent petals, all done using digital watercolor brushes in Procreate. I tried replicating that look on paper with traditional watercolor paints, and it wasn't easy because it was hard to control the gradients, and when the water dried, it left weird marks that kind of ruined the perfect look I was going for. I think it's just much easier to create a more challenging look digitally because you can always go back and redo any step. I left links for the brushes, watercolor paper to canvas, and reference image, as well as the sketch I used and color palette. So feel free to grab them for yourself, and I'll see you in the next tutorial.